It's Tuesday, January 11. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Late last year, Prime Minister Andrew Holness had signaled his intent to reshuffle his cabinet early in the new year, and now he has. What some are describing as a soft reshuffling was announced on Monday. Among the reassignments, Pernell Charles Jr. will now assume Agriculture and Fisheries Ministry, and Dr. Derek McCoy is now Attorney General. Among the significant changes, Audley Shaw will assume responsibility for the Transport and Mining portfolio. Former Transport and Mining Minister Robert Montague will now operate as a minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Robert Nestor Morgan is now Minister of Information under the Office of the Prime Minister. Favour Williams retains her Education and Youth portfolio. Former Attorney General Marlene Malahoo Ford now heads up a new ministry, Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. Senator Auburn Hill has been appointed Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Xavier Main has been moved from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to the National Security Ministry. Those who have retained their portfolios are Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport Minister Olivia Grange, Education and Youth Minister Favour Williams, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark, Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. Also, Dr. Christopher Tufton will hold on to the Health portfolio, and Delroy Chuck is still Justice Minister. Desmond McKenzie, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. Darrell Vaz retains his portfolio as Science, Energy and Technology Minister. Edmund Bartlett is still the Tourism Minister. Carl Samuda heads up Labour and Social Security, and Dr. Horace Chang is still the Minister of National Security. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, has ruled that the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, was granted too much in the foreign exchange net interest surcharge determination in its 2021 annual review. The OUR, in a determination notice dated December 28, 2021, stated that, quote, the JPS's revenue requirement shall be adjusted downward by $326.43 million in the 2022 annual review to compensate for the over-recovery. Director General of the OUR, Ansort Hewitt, in the determination notice says based on its original calculation, the OUR had determined that JPS had a revenue requirement of $421.57 million, including the weighted average cost of capital. Jamaica could reach the peak week of the fourth wave of the coronavirus, COVID-19, by the end of the month. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bessessa McKenzie says the projections from the Ministry of Health and Wellness are that the country could see as many as 11,500 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the next few weeks.
We have a very high 7-day positivity at 38.7%, and we moved very, very quickly from 5% to this kind of numbers very, very quickly, a very, very sharp increase in the positivity rate. And the reproductive rate, 2.4, very high compared to where we were a couple of weeks ago. And still our vaccination level is below 30%, at 21%. We need to get that up urgently.
Dr. Bessessa McKenzie, who was addressing a recent press conference, noted the increased number of deaths and projects an increase in the number of hospitalization.
Rapid exposure is happening to a lot of persons, and the numbers are going up quickly. And so with so many persons becoming infected, what it means is that in the peak week, we could see an increase in the number of deaths. The number of beds occupied could go way above the 1,200 where we were in the third surge, and could go up to almost 2,500 persons on beds.
Dr. Bessessa McKenzie reiterated the need for persons to get vaccinated and to adhere to all the infection prevention and control measures. Parliament meetings resumes today, January 11, with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Education and Youth Minister Favour Williams set to deliver statements to the lower house. You can watch it live right here on PBCJ at 2 p.m. and on our social media platforms. As we reported, Sunday, January 9 was celebrated as India Diaspora Day. As activities continue to mark the celebration of Indian culture and contributions, we revisit the story of one of Jamaica's oldest Indian patriarchs. Carol Francis has more.
At 93 years of age, Ram Haraj Rajbeef is a patriarch, a repository of experiences. He is one of the oldest living members of the Indian community in Jamaica. During a meeting with the Indian High Commissioner to Jamaica, His Excellency R. Massaquoi, Mr. Rajbeef opened the book on the rich historic and cultural life of his family's journey to Jamaica from India in 1907 and his own experiences growing up and raising a family in Jamaica.
My father had some friend, and they want the friends them play, do what, you know what I mean? And them follow them friends them come to Jamaica. And when them come to Jamaica now, the people who employ them have them different places. My father went in St. Mary. Now my father used to do agriculture in India and know the banana tree, how to plant and all them things there. So they like him because he know the routines. And he did well. After that, in 1920 or 20, some came to Kingston Pen and called the place Kingston Pen because the whole Indians live there. You know what I mean?
He went to school in Kingston for a short while.
My father never had no money to send me to high school. So I went to learn trade. And how I get a trade? There was a gentleman, Dr. Varma. He was the president of the East Indian Association because these people then form a society. And we have most big people who understand. They start to cooperate with the Indians.
He got married and had 8 children of his own.
You never wish to go back to India and visit there.
Well,
now you are 93.
What really happened?
Yeah.
I have relatives go to India.
Yeah.
And them invited me. But because of my work, I have 8 children.
What were you doing actually in your younger
I'm a machinist.
Oh, okay.
You understand?
Okay.
I went to work 1944. And the place closed at 207. One place I worked right through.
While sharing photographs, the retired machinist who worked at KIG for over 50 years took great care to pass on the knowledge of his parents' homeland, India, their cultural mores, values, and the contribution of the Indian community to Jamaica's development.
A life story of Indian in general. What they used to do in India, pass it on to me. You understand?
The inclusion of the East Indians into Jamaica would enrich and expand the local tapestry. They were the first to successfully grow rice in Jamaica, establishing the island's first successful rice mill in the 1890s. They continue to influence the fields of medicine, agriculture, manufacturing, in-bond businesses, and sports. They introduced a range of spices including curry powder to Jamaican cuisine. Traditional Indian foods like curry goat, curried potatoes, eggplant, butter chicken, and roti have been steeped and infused into the national cuisine.
My mother always cooked dal, tarkari, average potato, which is hollow, string bean, long peas, generally these things.
Mr. Rajbeef still has intricately woven Indian jewelry designs and bangles made from silver belonging to his mother. He and his family enjoy the distinctive music, dance, and traditional dress, which they have incorporated in their everyday lifestyle. They also observe traditional Indian religious and cultural celebrations like Diwali, which celebrates the victory of good over evil.
The Indian society, they have at their home, they have these kata surpurani at their home, and they read the books and explain to the younger generation as well as the older generation too.
In his seniority, Mr. Ragbeef has become a guardian of a distinct cultural ancestry, a steward that embodies the national motto, out of many, one people. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Carol Francis.
We now get the business report with Gabriel Thompson.
In foreign exchange trading for Monday, January 10, the US dollar sold for an average $155.56. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $119.24. The pound sterling traded for $208.55, and the euro sold for an average $176.70. In Monday's trading session, the following reflect the movement of the JSE indices. The JSE Combined Market Index advanced by 1,708 points to close at over 400,000 units. The Junior Market Index advanced by 5 points to close at over 3,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 95 stocks, of which 36 advanced, 47 declined, and 12 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Par Group Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and Barita Investments Limited. Trading firm were Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 4.3 million units, followed by Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with over 2.7 million units, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited with over 1.2 million units. In market data for oil, prices rose towards $82 a barrel on Tuesday, supported by tight supply and hopes that rising coronavirus cases and the spread of the Omicron variant will not derail a global demand recovery. OPEC supply additions are running below their allowed increase under a pact with allies due to a lack of capacity in some countries. OPEC and other major economies have avoided a return to severe lockdowns, even as coronavirus cases soar. Brent crude futures gained 88 cents or 1.1% to $81.75 a barrel after dropping 1% in the previous session. West Texas Intermediate crude rose 95 cents or 1.2% to $79.18 after falling 0.8% on Monday. A weaker U.S. dollar also helped support oil on Tuesday, as it makes oil cheaper for those holding other currencies and tends to reflect higher investor risk appetite. In today's edition of the Bank of Jamaica BOJ Empowering You video series, we hear more about finding information on financial products. All financial institutions have information about their products and services online, including their fees. Some offer savings, insurance, investment, and retirement planning.
It looked like the only way to get some attention around here is to go lie down in the garden.
What? You're jealous of the plants now?
I am so confused. When I go to the bank today, I get a whole heap of brochure. I never know there's so much different way me can save my money.
And that was only one bank. Every regulated financial institution has different products.
So me must know which one suit me.
Shop around, baby.
Then me must go every bank? I don't have no time for that.
You shop around online, darling. And remember, there are many different types of regulated financial institutions offering different services. It depends on what you want to do with your money. Some offer savings, insurance, retirement planning, and investment. It's just that if you want to save with the protection of deposit insurance, then you can decide to save with a bank or building society.
It sounds so complicated.
All regulated financial institutions have information about them products and services on them website. Them even have information about them fees, how to raise issues or deal with complaints. You have to go online.
I use internet for news and sports.
Now you can add finance to the list.
So wise one. You have a show me if you do.
I'm going to wash my hands. Just turn on the computer in the meantime.
For the business report inside the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
Over now to regional news. Having surpassed the requirements of having 50% of the water taxi operators fully vaccinated, members of the Grenada Water Taxi Association are now left wondering what they have done wrong. Association members say they are still awaiting word from tourism officials as to when they can resume work after a 2-year hiatus. More from GBN News.
They were left out of the initial stakeholder meeting, which occurred before the resumption of the cruise ship industry, and are now being made to wait to begin tours with cruise ship passengers within the bubble. According to Oscar Bartholomew, member of the Grenada Water Taxi Association, during a meeting with Tourism Minister Clarice Modest-Cowan in November last year, vaccination was preached as the way forward.
I asked the minister, why are we not working, or when we could start to work. And she response was like, we are holding up ourselves. All they need from us is our vaccination status.
Business at the vendors mall is also taking a hit as the cruise ship passengers historically patronized via these water taxis.
The problem we have on Grenada is because the water taxi association, we really need it because why? 90% of the people who come to Grenada Beach anytime they board the water taxi is straight to the bubbles on Grenada Beach. And without the water taxi, the vendors market is suffering.
Of the 14 members of the association, 12 are fully vaccinated, as well as all of their conductors, with the documentation provided to the ministry. Having surpassed the quota given by tourism officials of 50% of members fully vaccinated, Bartholomew says they are now being left to wait in agony.
I have a disability. Nobody in Grenada can give me no work nowhere else. That's what I do since 1989. 89 of down there, I in water taxi. I in the water taxi, in the water taxi business. And I mean, it's hurtful. It is hurtful, very, very, very much, and it's paining me because I have families to feed. I have my bills to pay. I have insurance and license and all of these things going on. I'm home. I'm supposed to go on the side of the road and go to the minister's office and ask them for $2 when I want to pay my bill. Is that what they want me to do? No, I don't want to do that. I want to continue being independent as I've always been.
The water taxi operators are alleging that new licenses are being issued while they are made to wait.
Mr. Dr. Keith Mitchell, sir. All right, use the one on top. Please do something about it. Do something about it. Because the same people, sir, it's the same Grenada people who put you there.
Emmanuel Fleming, president of the Grenada Water Taxi Association, is making a clarion call to government.
I don't know what Grenada water taxi have done to them. They is barring us from working and giving people. I would say, if to say there is no water taxi service, it should be across the board. You don't favor some and don't favor some. It should be across the board. And the minister need to get up and and the minister need to do that which is right.
Chairman of the Guyana Tourism Authority, Barry Colmo, admits that if this is the case, it's a failing on their part, and the team at the GTA has to do a better job. Colmo tells GBN that he has reached out to GTA CEO Petra Roach to swiftly resolve the issue.
And she has committed to ensuring that she contacts them this evening or for the latest tomorrow. So I expect some urgent action on this, because don't forget, when we said that we were having these bubbles, we said that the reason that we were having these bubbles, not only to protect lives and livelihoods, but we said that we wanted to create an equitable playing field for the small, medium, and large operators. And the Water Taxi Association are a historic part of the cruise industry.
I am Gerard Joseph for GBN News.
Frustrated with incomplete work being done on government projects by contractors, Minister of Public Works Juan Edgehill on Monday announced that the government will be introducing legislation that will see the blacklisting of some countries that are failing their obligations on government contracts. Gordon Mosley reports.
During a press conference hosted by the Ministry of Public Works, Minister Edgehill pointed out that the government has been putting up with contractors who have been failing to complete works on schedule. But the time for that will soon come to an end. Over the years, the government has taken some contractors to court over incomplete works. But the Minister of Public Works believes that with all of the infrastructural works being done across the country, the administration will need stronger legislation that could effectively block companies from future government contracts over their failures. Minister Edgehill also said the legislation is needed so that his ministry, which provides the technical support for government building contracts, can make use of it to address defaulters. Edgehill did not indicate a time frame for the proposed legislation, but he said it is clearly needed to address the problems that have been dogging government contracts over the years.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the president of the country's supermarket association says there is no price gouging among association's president. The president says import substitution is needed to prevent rising prices.
There is no price gouging among members of the Supermarket Association in Trinidad and Tobago. This, according to president of that organization, Rajiv Dipti. Mr. Dipti noted that the majority of his members try to maintain lower costs for many goods on the shelves, but they are challenged by continued increases of basic food items on the international market. He explained that the increases are not native to this country.
Where the core food basket of goods is concerned, we always have concerns on cooking oil, flour, sugar, and it's something that continues to move. It's still benefiting from the reduction of 12.5%. Very importantly, that is removed from in the final equation of your bill at the register. And that is something, when we talk about the core food basket and we talk about those things, we try to keep with care on the shelves those goods that are considered very basic for the vulnerable consumer, because those that class of customer, that level of person that's coming into the store, you really want to ensure that they are able to buy goods for their families, because it's not just food stuff that's going up, Natalie. Of course, it's pharmaceuticals, it's everything right now due to the inflationary pressures being experienced by the pandemic.
Mr. Dipti noted that import substitution is needed to help reduce food prices. He emphasized that encouraging an enabling environment and preventing predial larceny and other crimes is a major factor. Mr. Dipti said that members of his association have expressed interest in branching out into agriculture.
We're willing to get into agriculture and get into agro-processing and get into farming. There are a lot of opportunities. However, it takes work not just from the agricultural side, but also work with the consumer, because as I suggested earlier, their tastes and preferences determine what ultimately comes out onto the market.
In sports, we bowl off with cricket. With about a week to go before the first official match of the ICC Men's Under-19 World Cup, the country's main cricket facility in Providence has been deemed ready by Cricket West Indies regional curator Kent Crafton. Crafton has been overseeing the preparation of pitches and outfields in 6 venues, which will host practice sessions, warm-up matches, and actual games right up until January 15. We have more in this from the Newsroom Guyana report.
The National Stadium here at Providence will host 2 matches in the upcoming ICC Men's Under-19 Cricket World Cup. Ever since Guyana was announced as a host nation of this World Cup, preparations had begun to get this venue in a state of readiness for those matches. A week away from the tournament, the Cricket West Indies regional curator, Kent Crafton, has had great things to say about the pitch and outfield.
Yes, I must say it's a very pleasing time now to see finally we get to a point of cricket. Preparation has been a bit difficult, especially because of the weather conditions we have had. But we have come a long way. I'm saying today, after visiting the venues, I'm quite happy I'm pleased that we are getting there. And for sure, we will be ready for our first sessions on Friday. For sure, here at Providence, a ground that I've never had too many issues with. And some improvement work have been done since our international games. Some maintenance operations which will improve the surface drainage. So again, we're ready at Providence.
The National Stadium is the only of the 6 local venues to host all 3 aspects of the tournament. Those are practice sessions, warm-up games and matches in the World Cup proper. The opening game of the tournament between host nation West Indies and Australia will take place at Providence on November 14th, while the following day the venue will host India and South Africa. The National Stadium here at Providence is the only venue to host matches in all 4 of the ICC Cricket World Cup events to be hosted in the Caribbean. Reporting for Newsroom from Providence, I'm Avinash Ramzan.
And that's all we have for you today. Join us tomorrow, same time, same place, for more news and sport right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.